Hi, I'm Andree Luke, and welcome to the Sunday Comics. So, when I find myself helping organise one of the UK's most respected comics festivals, Caption, I realised my knowledge of British indie comics was shamefully out of date. So, you're joining me as we level up our knowledge on that area. So, this week, Douglas Noble is four books of folk tales, horrible folk, more horrible folk, other horrible folk, and really horrible folk. So these are part of Doug's regular series Strip for Me, issues between 48 and 58. Doug's been making Strip for Me from 2000s. I really remember enjoying those back then. I consider myself a friend of Doug. We've kind of lost contact for about 15 years. And likewise with his comics, Cost of Living, Austerity. So I really enjoyed getting back into these, and not just because of that. Doug's got a very unique style. So about the comics themselves, each issue features a monologue of a fictional character talking about their environment. I'll read the blurb from the first one. A monologue of 28 voices concerning devils, the landscape, old stones, older gods, ordinary murder, and many of the other crimes of man. And that's kind of a really good introduction to what these books are. They're all very much sort of standalone pieces and very curious. So I said Doug's quite a unique illustrator, and there's two kind of levels his stuff works on. On the surface, he's got a very simple kind of style, which invites the reader, it allows for this sort of the easy passing over of the eye to page and following the narrative, and that's quite an asset. It might also be a bit of a getting off too easy, because these really do reward scrutiny. It's there that the things that on surface level reading of just taking what's given to you kind of get lost. Doug is as you'll see from the page layout, is fairly similar with most pages. Begins with a really sort of controlling punctuation where the reader is kind of positioned to look at environments in murkiness, in shadow. It's kind of forced. Yeah. Doug describes most of Strip for Me's work as unfriendly romance. And it's now that I've really discovered what that means. He forces the reader to pause with his panel layouts and follow. On one hand, the strictures of a comic book, the left to right. Sorry, hard to do this in a mirror. Yeah, that typical page layout. On others, there's popping out of panels. So you become kind of regimented to reading it with this sort of one narrow panel, one square, two square, three square, four square, one narrow. The one narrow again acting as punctuation between the next pages, between the white space. Then the next page is white space, and the punctuation of the long, narrow white space to square again. Yes, so he leads you to follow, and that's your choice. And occasionally there'll be pop-out panels where that strict reading order is confused, and you're then forced to make adjustments, mental leaps to what you read first, what you read because Doug has you so regimented in his reading order. So it's a really challenging way to look at it. So it's the work is both cinematic and highly literate. Break those down. Cinematic is talked about a lot in comics, and comics, well, we know what's meant, while it's a contradiction. But that sort of forcing of images from entering a panel, leaving a panel beyond their boundaries creates a mental cinema. It's also highly influenced by B movies, obscure horror, folk horror specifically. I mean, Doug's got a really interesting methodology in that each issue includes the portraits of characters used. For example, this one, and you can read a lot from the faces, are taken from like background characters in television series, in films. And there's also this fictional environment, Sunset, which pops up again and again. It's kind of hard to tell you what the folk series is about because it kind of involves spoilers, and it involves, I think it's something that you only really appreciate when you've read them. Spoilers are invested in the narrative. It's that deeper level where you're presented with one story per page, and that builds up incrementally, and the connections that you make between them are entirely down to your own experience. There are a few connectivities between the monologues in each issue and over the 4 series. And generally speaking, there's folk tales, rumors, superstitions, old gods. There's, in the final one, really horrible folk, it becomes more contemporary relevant, and spoilers, there's elements of immigration, colonialism, slavery. The other element, the literary, Doug chooses his words very carefully, and these do feel what is in that branch of literature called literary, where it's very finely written, it's very well attuned, very observant of human behavior. I mean, I guess these books are what is meant by psychogeography, but also recorded audio histories or transcribed histories, even though they're entirely fictional. It was really nice to get back to these again. They're £4 each from Doug's shop, strip-forward-me.com. Link in the description. I really recommend them. And pop some more recommendations in the comments. I don't know if Doug has a work that's kind of set out as kind of the exemplar of his best work, because he seems to be doing his best work with each issue. I remember an older one called, I think it was Cockfighters of the Western World, really sort of popped out to me. But that was like back in 2008, 2009. But even his early 2000s work was that very unique voice, that very unique narrative style. I know on Doug's website you can get a lot of his comics in ebook format, including the Pocket Chillers series that he's contributed towards. If you'd like to learn more about the Comics Festival Caption, go to captionfestival.co.uk, or on the socials, read at Caption Comics Fest. I know we've got, we're just getting ready to announce some Broken Frontiers 6 to watch people as guests for this year. I can also announce that the stars of the Sunday Comics series so far, the Rickard sisters, will be appearing to do confirmed and illustrated talk. I'm really looking forward to that. And I've also interviewed them for my Screen Cleaner series, which you can see next week. Do check that out. This week's version is up online, went up last night, and it's all about TV production in factual TV news and politics TV. And that's my huge passion at the moment. It's all week I work on that. So, and it's kind of, if you remember Charlie Brooker's old Wipe series, very much in that vein of actual investigative reporting and puerile humor, kind of my model. So there's a good few news sites on British comics, Broken Frontier, Down the Tubes, as well as new videos on YouTube at Andrew Luke twice a week. I also co-host a monthly podcast about Terry Pratchett's Discworld series at Discworld GNU. Please do give this a like, comment, and subscribe, and tell people about it. Word of mouth really helps. And thanks for reviewing. Leave some comments. Let's get the dialogue going. Are there comics that you think I should be reviewing? Let me know. I'll get onto that as best I can. Thanks.